Hello, Rupert.
Hi, Andy.
I have a question about the mantric meditation that I learned at the Study Society, and I only did that for about 3 years. But it's repeating a mantra for those who may not know, and it's and the practice that I've learned since I've been studying your books and the Direct Path, and I'm a bit confused, or I feel that there's something else going on, and I've felt this for a long time, even when I was doing the mantra meditation, that it feels like something outside is having an effect, and that there's an energizing going on that is outside of my... I don't really know how to express it, but the best way I could put it was that it's energizing or activating something within me.
When you were practicing mantra meditation?
It's slightly different, but it's more subtle with the Direct Path.
Yes.
But there was something a bit more visceral going on with the... visceral is the wrong word, but nervous. I feel that there should be, the meditations should be similar, if not the same, in their effect on oneself. But maybe I'm not wrong. I'm not right, and maybe I don't actually need to know this. But I don't know what it is that this agency that's having the effect on us as we do the meditation. I used to think it was the stroke of the mantra that was doing some active thing to you, and I'm not sure if that's true or if that's even important now, because the Direct Path method, I still have a very strong feeling with the meditation that it's working, for sure. I was just thinking about the metaphor of a plant in the garden sunshine. I mean, its leaves, it's not doing anything at all, obviously. It's just leaves are just there, and the CO2 and the water's there. And the outside agency is the sun it's providing the chlorophyll with the kickstart to do the refinement and create sugars. And I don't know if that's a good metaphor, but I thought it might help the discussion. Can you help me to understand what is the outside? Is there something that we need to know about the meditation from the outside?
Whether the meditation is mantra meditation or the Direct Path?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So let me first clarify the distinction between mantra meditation and the self-investigation or self-abidance that constitutes the Direct Path that we do here. So most people's attention is ranging rapidly throughout the day from one object to another, be that object a thought, an emotion, a sensation, a sight, a sound, a feeling, so back and forth from one object to another. And the attention very rarely gets time to let go of any object and sink back into its source, the presence of awareness. And that is why the waking state is so exhausting for most people, because the attention is always going from object to object and object, and the only time it ever really gets to rest is briefly on the fulfillment of a desire or in deep sleep. So these are the two natural ways that a mind under normal circumstances finds rest. So in response to this situation, the traditional progressive paths, of which mantra meditation is one, suggests to the mind, instead of paying attention to 10,000 things in quick succession, I'm just going to give you one thing to pay attention to. It's still an object of attention. The awareness is still directing the light of its knowing away from itself towards the object, in this case a sound. But it's one object, not 10,000 things. So already this steadies the mind. But it doesn't yet it's not yet the return of the mind to its source in the heart of awareness, but it is a prelude to that returning of the mind. So that is why in mantra meditation, one is asked to slow down the repetitions of the mantra. You allow more and more space in between each repetition, and you also sound the mantra less forcibly each time, so that having steadied the mind on a single object, the object itself gradually begins to fade, both in frequency and in strength. And as long as the mind doesn't then simply go and attach itself to one of the previous objects, as the mantra fades, the mind begins to sink back into its source, which is the purpose of mantra meditation. The purpose of mantra meditation is not to keep the mind stuck to an object. It is to steady the mind, and then slowly the object dissolves and the mind is delivered back to its source. The mantra itself also has a particular vibrational quality. It's not a magic thing. If we all know the difference between listening to a Bach prelude and listening to a piece of rap. It's no judgment between the two pieces of music, but they have a very different effect on the psychophysical system, because each type of music has a certain vibrational quality to it. And the vibrational quality of the music comes from the place from which the music has originated. So, in other words, the music has the power to take you back to the feeling from which it came. That's why listening to rap and listening to Bach has a different effect on us. If we follow each piece of music, they will take us back. Each piece of music takes us on a journey, and it takes us back to the place from which it originated. Well, the principle of the mantra is the same. Each mantra has a certain subtle vibrational quality to it, and that has an effect on the psychophysical system. That is not the ultimate purpose of the mantra. The ultimate purpose is to take you all the way back to the source or the essence of the mind. Now, the reason why this is called the progressive path is that the journey that the mind takes back to its essence or source, goes via an object. In this case, a mantra. The mind doesn't go directly back to its source. It goes first from 10,000 things to the mantra, and then from the mantra back to its source. So the mantra is like a halfway house. It is an object, albeit a subtle one. And for that reason, that's what's meant by the indirect or progressive path. What we do here is called the direct path, or self-enquiry, where the mind goes from whatever condition it is in, directly back to its source. And this pathway, this direct path from the mind in its current condition back to its source is affected by a question such as, what is it that knows or is aware of my experience? Or am I aware? These questions take the mind directly from whatever condition it is in, directly back to its source, the heart of awareness. And that's why it's called the direct path. It doesn't go via an object. So what is the force or the power that is acting in these two different types of meditation? In the first case, in mantra meditation, as I said, the mantra itself has a certain vibrational frequency or quality, and that has an effect on the mind and the body. But that's not really the power of the mantra. The power of the mantra is the intelligence from which it has come. And these sounds were in just the same way that the two pieces of music, the Rap and the Bach piece of music, they are expressions of the understanding or the feeling that gave birth to them. So the mantra also contains the power of its source, and therefore it has the power to take one back there. So the real power of the mantra is not the vibrational frequency of the mantra itself, but it is the source from which it came. And that is the same is true of the direct path. The power of the direct path is the presence of awareness. I think sometime over the next couple of days, using the analogy of John Smith and King Lear, although King Lear feels that he is tracing his way back to John Smith, in fact, there is no such person as King Lear. It is John Smith who has limited himself in the form of King Lear, and it is John Smith that is now unlimiting himself or drawing himself back to himself. So this is the power that the direct path has. It's the power of awareness to reveal itself, to draw itself back to itself. And that power, it seems to be outside of us in the sense that it is greater than us as an individual. So in that sense, from the individual's point of view, it feels something greater than me. It's not really something that is outside the individual. It is at the very essence or heart of the individual and doesn't share the individual qualities of the individual. So it's not really outside of us. Because awareness is the very essence of each of our minds. So it is the gravitational pull of our true nature on the apparently separate self or finite mind. That is where the power of the meditation comes from. The gravitational force of our true nature, attracting itself back to itself.
Yes, that's absolutely answered the question, thank you. And I think somebody just starting meditation, perhaps awareness is something that they thought was inside them, but it becomes apparent that it's maybe not something they can control or own.
You're right. Most people believe that the awareness with which they are aware of their experience is it lives inside them, but also is personal in the sense that it shares their personal qualities. In other words, most people feel that they have their own little unique package of awareness, and that everyone's awareness is slightly different from everybody else's, simply by virtue of the fact that every person is slightly different from everyone else. So it's like believing that the space in all the different rooms on Earth is slightly different. No, the space in all the rooms on Earth is the same. What's different are the shapes of the walls. But the space that seems to be inside the room is not actually conditioned by the shapes of the walls. Well, awareness is the same. It's true that awareness fills our experience of the body, just like the space fills this room. But the mistake most people make is to believe that their awareness shares the limits of their body and their mind, just like it would be a mistake to believe that the space in this room shared the limits of this room. So whilst awareness is utterly intimate. It is the most intimate element of our experience. At the same time, it doesn't share any of the limitations of our body or our mind. In that sense, it is impersonal or transpersonal. At the same time, it is intimate.
Thank you.